Consider for a moment the nature of a mirror. When you stand before it, you see a reflection that appears solid, distinct, and undeniably real. It mimics your movements. It wears your expressions. It carries the history of your scars and the promise of your smiles. Yet, if you were to reach out and touch it, your finger would meet only cold, hard glass. The image has no substance. It has no life of its own. It is merely a trick of light, a temporary convergence of photons bouncing off a silvered surface. We live our entire lives captivated by a similar reflection. We call it myself. We call it the body. We construct an entire universe of meaning around this fragile, biological vessel, believing that its gender, its appearance, its social standing, and its ability to garner approval are the very metrics of our existence. But what if this self-concept is nothing more than a ghost in the machine? What if the identity you have spent decades polishing and protecting is a defense mechanism designed to keep you from remembering what you actually are? To understand the depth of this illusion, we must look at the architecture of the human ego. The ego is not just a voice in your head. It is a builder of worlds. It is an architect that despises open space. It fears the vast, silent, infinite nature of spirit because in that silence, the ego ceases to exist. And so, to ensure its survival, the ego manufactured a distraction. It created a mask. It created the body. This body comes with a script. From the moment we enter this density of time and space, we are handed a role. You are male or you are female. You are attractive or you are plain. You are powerful or you are weak. These are not inherent truths. They are costumes. And like any actor committed to a method performance, we forget that we are on a stage. We begin to believe the drama is real. We see this drama play out most violently in the arena of social validation. There is a specific pathology we must examine today, a behavior so normalized that we mistake it for kindness. We call it people-pleasing. But let us strip away the polite euphemism. People-pleasing is not kindness. It is not generosity. It is a trauma response. It is a desperate, clawing attempt to secure safety in a world that feels inherently hostile. When you contort your personality to fit the expectations of another, you are engaging in a subtle form of self-annihilation. You are essentially saying, the being that I am is insufficient. Therefore, I will manufacture a version of myself that you can consume. It is an addiction to external validation, a hunger that can never be sated because you are trying to fill a spiritual void with psychological praise. This dynamic is not merely personal, it is systemic. We see it projected onto the grand screens of our culture. Think of the great media empires of our time. Think of the towering skyscrapers in New York City, where news is manufactured and perceptions are sold. In these glass towers, the game of the ego is played at the highest stakes. Here, the body is not just a vessel, it is currency. There is a particular archetype that dominates this landscape. The Titan, the mogul, the man who sits in the corner office, believing he shapes reality itself. He uses money and influence to mold images, to decide who is seen and who is invisible. He hires beauty not to celebrate it, but to exploit it. He demands that women wear the skirt, that they sit behind glass desks, that they become objects of desire rather than subjects of life. This objectification is the ego's theology made manifest. The ego loves the body because the body is vulnerable. It loves gender roles because they create separation. By reducing a human spirit to a skirt or a set of physical attributes, the ego reinforces the idea that we are merely meat and bone, destined to rot. It distracts us from the terrifying and glorious truth that we are eternal, formless, and one with the Creator. Let us descend deeper into this metaphor of the media tower. In the narrative of the world, we see figures of power demanding silence. In the corporate world, there is a legal instrument known as the Non-Disclosure Agreement, the NDA. It is a contract that buys silence. It is a legal muzzle. You are paid to keep the secrets of the fortress hidden from the light of day. But in the spiritual realm, we have signed a different kind of NDA. We have signed a non-disclosure agreement with our own unconscious minds. We have agreed to keep our darkest thoughts, our shame, our guilt, and our terrifying belief in separation hidden away in the basement of our psyche. We present a polished, smiling face to the world, the news anchor face, perfect and composed. While beneath the surface, a chaotic newsroom of fear is running 24 hours a day. The ego relies on privacy. It relies on the belief that your thoughts are your own, that your sins are secret, and that if anyone truly knew you, you would be destroyed. This is the great paranoia of the human condition. We walk around terrified of exposure. We build walls of defense. We use people-pleasing as a preemptive strike. If I make you happy, you won't look too closely at me. If I am useful to you, you won't see my worthlessness. But true spiritual strength, real strength, not the counterfeit bluster of the billionaire or the politician, requires a tearing up of this contract. It requires what we might call a full disclosure agreement. It is the willingness to stand naked before the universe, metaphorically speaking, and say, I have nothing to hide because I have done nothing wrong. This is a radical statement. I have done nothing wrong. How can we say this when we look at a world filled with cruelty, sexism, greed, and lies? We can say it because we are beginning to understand that the world we see is not the world God created. It is a hallucination. The violence, the abuse of power, the frantic grasping for more money, more fame, more youth. This is the behavior of a mind that has gone insane with fear. It is the behavior of a mind that believes it has separated from its source. This brings us to the core of the matter, the root of all anxiety, all depression, and all striving. It is what A Course in Miracles calls the authority problem. The authority problem is not about rebelling against your boss, or your parents, or the government. It is a metaphysical rebellion. At some point, in the tiny, mad idea of the beginning, the mind thought, I can do this better. I can create myself. We tried to become the authors of our own existence. We wanted to be the father and the mother of our own identity. But to create yourself, you must first deny your true creator. You must deny that you are already perfect, already whole, and already complete in the mind of God. So we made a substitute. We made the person. We crafted a personality with likes and dislikes, with a gender, with a history, with political opinions and grievances. We invested everything in this avatar. We color its hair, we dress it in suits or skirts, we march it into offices, we struggle for status. We act as if the survival of this avatar is the most important thing in the universe. But deep down, there is a terror, because we know, subconsciously, that this self-creation is a fraud. We know it is fragile. We know that a virus, a car accident, or the simple passage of time will obliterate it. The ego knows it is destined to die, and so it lives in a state of perpetual panic, frantically trying to accumulate more to prove it is real. More money, more power, more approval. How, then, do we escape this high rise of illusions? How do we walk out of the glass room? It begins with the unwinding. We must unwind the threads of people-pleasing. We must look at where we are changing our shape to fit the container of the world. When you feel the impulse to agree when you disagree, to smile when you're angry, to submit when you should stand tall, pause. Recognize that impulse not as being nice, but as a defense mechanism of the false self. We must look at our gender identification. This is challenging. It is woven into the fabric of our language and culture. But ask yourself, am I a man? Am I a woman? Or am I the awareness that observes the experience of being a man or a woman? The spirit has no gender. God has no chromosomes. To wake up is to realize that you are the dreamer, not the character in the dream. We must confront the desire for secrets. We must become transparent. This doesn't mean you broadcast your diary to the world, but it means you stop hiding from the light within your own mind. You stop suppressing the bad thoughts. You look at the greed, the lust, the judgment, and instead of condemning yourself, you say, this is not me, this is the debris of the ego. I can let this go. And finally, we face the authority problem. We surrender the exhausting job of trying to be God. We resign from the position of general manager of the universe. We accept the correction. We accept that we are not self-made orphans struggling in a cold cosmos. We are the beloved creations of a source that is pure love. When you accept that you did not create yourself, a tremendous weight lifts from your shoulders. You do not have to sustain your existence. You do not have to fight for your right to be. Your existence is guaranteed by a power far greater than any media mogul, far greater than any government, far greater than the stars themselves. There is a scene we can imagine, perhaps from the very movie of our lives. The lights in the newsroom go dark, the cameras turn off, the teleprompters go blank, the glass desks shatter into dust, the costumes dissolve, the frantic noise of the world fades into a profound silence. In that silence, you are still there. You have not disappeared. In fact, you are more there than you have ever been. You are not the body that ages. You are not the employee who needs a paycheck. You are not the person who needs to be pleased. You are the light that was hidden behind the mask. And for the first time, without the script, without the NDA, without the fear, you are free to simply be. This is the invitation of the present moment, to step out of the character and into the truth, to stop acting and start living, to forgive the world for being an illusion, and to forgive yourself for believing in it. The news is over. The real story, the story of your eternal reality, is just beginning.